Hi, and welcome to week 2 of the Perpetual Joy theme and variations, the Beethoven 9 theme and variations for teaching your hand to be flexible, independence of this right hand. If we're meeting for the first time, my name is Clay from the Cello.online, and if you haven't already, the PDF with sheet music and checklists and timeline guide, everything you need to complete this course is available on my website for purchase. The video tutorials, as always, are free, as you found this one, or you're coming here from the PDF, but be sure and check that out on the website, as well as the other free things that are there to help you along on this cello journey. Our goals for week 2 are to get our first version of the scale up to our full speed of 145, okay? We're also going to be cutting that scale in half starting today, all right? Playing it at a slower tempo. So we start with lots of repetitions to give our brain and fingers time to find the next note, and then we start cutting it in half. We start giving ourselves less repetitions as we build up to the final version of the scale, and then, of course, the final version of the piece here. And remember, this is all built around daily practice, meeting daily goals. If you want to get through this thing in 8 weeks, you have to meet these daily goals with the metronome goals. I've left lots of blank space here on the PDF if it does take you longer so that you can customize it a little bit. Remember, this is a really, really important goal to accomplish with our cello playing. So if it takes you 10 weeks, 12 weeks, 16 weeks, it takes you twice as long. Doesn't matter, okay, as long as you get there. But if you're really wanting to get there soon and you are committed, you can do it in 8 weeks, all right, with daily focused practice. Okay, we're also going to be continuing our eighth note theme, again, all the way to our full speed of 145 with our stop bows, and then next week we're going to introduce the other version of the eighth note theme, all right? And also today we're going to talk about the Allegretto Cantabile section, which is the famous Ode to Joy theme, but up an octave, all right? Just to break up the piece a little bit and also get a little extra challenge, a little extra something here, learning to play in fifth position. We're going to talk about that. And there's going to be an extra video for this week. So this whole course is about loosening up this right hand, okay? But for those that want to really get this fifth position part down really, really well, I'm going to put in a separate video some finger patterns, some one-fingered scale things to help get this a little bit more in tune if you need that, all right? So before we get going here with our metronome markings and all of the play along, what are some challenges that are going to present themselves as we get towards that goal of 145? Because we're going to be going very fast, yes. Let's just see where we're headed today with this scale. Here's 145. All right, well, headed this week, right? This is where we hope to be by the end of the week, all right? I'm recording them here in one day, but you do not have to learn them in one day. You have to the end of week 2 to get there. But my hand at this point, it's moving pretty fast. And you see here, this, when we're talking about independence of the hand, and this is when we're really getting into this independence, is that this is moving however it needs to. Remember this, all of this is moving, and this is why I call it independence. Everything is moving. It's not like this is moving and this is not moving, or this is moving and this is not moving, or this is all moving together. This is moving some. This is moving a little bit more. This is moving a little bit more, and this, all right, as we get to the fingertip, everything's moving a little bit more, and as we get back toward the shoulder, everything's moving a little bit less. Checking my digital mirror over there, okay? So that's what we mean by independence, is that all of these things can move at different rates from each other at the same time. That's what it means by, that's what it means to move independently and to move with this nice loose wrist and fingers. One exercise you can do, which is not on the PDF, is to actually isolate these fingers. Now, I know we say we're looking for independence, but maybe perhaps we need to just play our scale just so we can feel these fingers moving. Maybe you need to get a partner, a spouse, somebody to hold this arm for you, or maybe you could do it against a wall. I've had students do that before, where you put your elbow against the wall and force yourself. Sometimes we do that to force to open up at the elbow, but maybe because it's hard to move just these fingers. Now, of course, I have to be holding the bow correctly. Yes, I have to be holding bow in my fingertips, in the flats of my fingers. If you need a bow hold review, there's lots of that here on the channel to go and find out. But this is what I'm after. And as I start to go really fast, this starts to tighten up, which is part of, this is all by design, that we're going to go fast and we're going to break this wrist free. So if you feel your hand tiring out, now we don't want anybody to get tendonitis. Do not get injured, okay? Do not get any repetitive motion stress injuries while you are doing this, okay? But if your hand gets a little bit tired while you're doing this, all right, not pain, right? Just kind of worn out a little bit. That actually can be a good thing, because it can force you to relax and it can force you to loosen up, okay? Sometimes we'll start feeling the tiredness coming in our upper arm, and so guess what? We got to stop using it, and we got to use something else, right? Because what happens is, the reason we can't play fast in the first place is because we're stiff-armed like this, okay? As always, you must also listen for the tone, okay? Make sure you're looking at the checklist that I've given you for the week, for each day, up above the timeline grids here. Tone, tone, tone. I cannot play this. Let's remind ourselves. My wrist is loose, right? The sound is terrible. I am not relaxing my hand into the bow the way I need to be able to do everything later that's coming. It's got to sound like this. Whatever tempo I'm going, let's go back to 105, where we're starting this week. Strong tone, full timbre, the full tone, the full color of the cello. Okay, that's what we want. And also same on our theme, sorry, talking over the metronome, theme eighth notes, yes. Stop, stop. Not just short. We don't want. I want you to really stop the bow, hard stop, because that's what's forcing this finger action, all right? It is very, very important to going fast later. Flexing these fingers. Exaggerate this flexed finger motion while you are doing this. This is very important. Okay, so we have our metronome goals. Obviously, those are very important because we're trying to go fast. But we have also these sound goals, okay, and motion goals, all right, to go along with it. Am I doing them all? You've got to check them off. You've got to double check yourself, video record yourself, okay? You should always be recording yourself each week, okay, but very much in the beginning, just so you can check yourself, okay, and see if you're actually doing all of the things that are on the list here, okay? Now also, like I said, before we get into the scale play-alongs here and everything, the Allegretto Cantabile, all right? So I called it an Allegretto because it's not quite the Allegro, right? An Allegretto is faster than Andante, but slower than Allegro, right? So we have our Allegro vivace, all right, life, all right? This is what Ode to Joy is about celebrating life. So we're going to say vivace, Allegro vivace. And then the Allegretto is the theme here, this Ode to Joy theme, in a much more singing style, right? That's what Cantabile means, all right? And actually our top speed for that is going to be 120. So let's go over, pull up my music here. Let's go over here, the Allegretto Cantabile, and how we're going to be playing it here. Yeah. We don't want to go as fast. We want to go a little bit slower, right? We've marked it at 120. So let's just play through it one time. Now, in order to play in tune here in fifth position, actually the first thing I would do is, you saw me do it, use a drone pitch. And fifth position is an awkward position, all right? It's something we need to learn to do, probably about the time that we're needing to learn to loosen up this wrist, which is why I put it in here, is I have this whole step here between 2 and 3. And so one of my goals should be just getting used to playing in fifth position. I should make up my own little etude. So I'm using the D string as my drone pitch. That right there sounds like a pretty cool piece. You could play that by itself and be satisfied musically there. I certainly would. Now, if you want to know some more particulars about practicing with the drone pitch, I have a video about that already here on the channel. So I want to stick to our goals here and just do a little overview of playing in fifth position so we can get back, all right, to our main goal over here. But make sure that you're getting a good hold step. Make sure that this hand is staying open over here, right? That I'm staying rounded. That I'm playing up here with a good hold step, and that I'm shifting back correctly, all right, maintaining this good hand position, all right, as I move around here in third and fourth and fifth position. And as I promised, I do have an exercise if you need a little extra help getting in tune in these positions. I'm going to put that in a separate video. We'll call it week 2.2 or something, all right, an appendix to week 2 here. All right, now let's get to our metronome goals here. First up on the list, we're going to do the scale. Remember, we're adding this A flat down below. Not A flat, A natural, first finger on the G string, down below because it is part of our melody. All right, here we go, 105. So remember, our first goal is just to get these 2 beats worth of 16th notes up to 145. Here we go. 1, 2, ready, and. Go 115. Remember, your goal is to get these by the end of the week, okay, or the next week. Daily practice. 115. 1, 2, ready, and. Now, I really felt the difference between 105 and 115. It felt significantly faster, okay? And you will experience this, that And everybody's a little different where that threshold is of, oh, wow, now I've really learned something new. I've really gotten over a hump. Maybe your threshold is, between 125 and 135, okay? Usually it's between this like 90 to 100 or 105, 115 range, okay? Maybe it's 115, 125. Like I said, it has to do with just how our bodies work and how we move. What you'll find is that at the beginning, it's a little easier. Going from 60 to 70, 70 to 80 is easier. And then it gets harder. And it's like we're getting over this hump, right? Like we have this limit, this wall. And then once we cross the wall, then we're okay for a few more steps. And then maybe we hit another wall there later on. But somewhere in the middle is this cusp, like I said, this threshold that we have to get across. And it's okay if you find yourself spending a few extra days, a few extra practice minutes or hours on this place in your learning. It's okay. It's totally normal. Okay, it's just the way it goes. Okay, here we go. 125. One, two, ready, and. Okay, here we go. 135. One, two, ready, and. Now it is very important as we get to our final metronome marking, and even as we get to 135 here, that tone, checking in on the tone, recording myself. Am I getting the full sound? Is my hand relaxing? Because this is everything. This is everything that we are doing. If it sounds like this, then we're not getting it. It's, if the sound is bad, it doesn't matter how loose my wrist is over here. If you're unsure if you're getting this part right, I have online lesson options for purchase on the website. There's a QR code there on the PDF, all right, to get some extra help. Here we go, 145, last one. One, two, ready, and. All right, there we go. You did it. All right, I can really feel, these hand loosening up, fingers being loose. All right. Still, though, that 105 to 115, that was the one I was like, whoa, it just feels faster. Okay, now, our other goal this week here, all right, we have several goals going, right? Let's do our theme eighth notes, also starting at 105. There we go. Remember, stop bows with a great tone. One, two, ready, and. think about my bow hold as we get faster. Here we go, 115. Got to check in on that bow hold. Make sure my thumb's not slipping around doing weird stuff. 115. Stop, stop. 1, 2, ready, and. $125. Here we go. Halfway there this week. 1, 2, ready, and. Here we go. Ooh, that was fast, right? I'm going to leave that in there. Like I said, so for me, with the eighth notes, 115 to 125. There was my threshold on the eighth notes, all right? I didn't go fast enough. That's why it's probably good to sing. 1, 2, bum, 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 bum. Get it in your head before you go. So you have to do it too. 1, 2, ready, and. And as I explained before, that threshold, that little hump that we get over, it'll be different for different people. And for me, it's even different speeds and different variations here. Now, as we get faster, obviously, and the notes are closer together, all right, sooner together, the stop is going to feel very subtle, right? So what am I listening for? Ooh, yeah, 135. Bum, 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 bum. Because then it just is like, what's the difference between a short note and a stop note? Well, at this tempo, there isn't a lot of difference, but it's a significant, important difference. So if I'm just playing it short, here we go, let's go at 135. 1, 2, bum, 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 bum. So that's just like a short, light note, right? My hand's not relaxing into the bow. I'm not flexing these fingers. In order to go fast, I gotta flex my fingers. I gotta move my wrist, and I gotta teach myself that action. That's the difference, all right? And so in order to know that you're doing that, am I hearing this hard stop? It's hard stop and hard start, actually, right? I mentioned this in the last video. That really biting into the string, all right, as I start and stop. That's different than. All right, maybe we need to go back and play it a few times so you can hear the difference. Here we go, 135. 1, 2, ready, and. Last one on this one for this week. Here we go, 145. I can already tell that's going to feel fast, all right? That's already another threshold for me, another level, another wall to jump over here. Can already feel it. So I'm going to sing it to myself again. 1, 2, ready, and. right, that felt fast, didn't it? Yeah. So remember, if it takes you a couple of extra days, all right, if it takes you all 7 days of the week, if it takes you a few days into next week. One thing that I should mention here that I don't think I've mentioned yet is how can there be this overlap of goals as you see on the grid there on the one timeline down there? How can these things overlap and I achieve this a little bit late, but then I still get to the goal in 8 weeks? How is that even possible? Well, remember, you have to kind of live by the rule of musical listening, all right? And the rule of musical listening says that the way in which I do something is more important than how fast I do it, how big I do it, okay? So, or how much I do it. So what we're looking for is a certain kind of movement, a way of moving your hand. Once it clicks, once you get this independence, you're going to zoom to the front of the class, right? You're going to go straight to the goal so quickly, okay? And all these exercises and all this stuff and all these scales is to unhinge this hand, wrist, and fingers, okay, from the rest of the arm. Once we unhinge it, once you feel it, and it's like, oh, that's what that's supposed to do, the rest of it is going to come quite quickly, actually, okay? All right, so remember that, okay? That's why it's so important that you are listening very closely, meeting the metronome goals and the tone goals, okay? And this articulation goal on the eighth note theme, okay? All very, very important. Now, next thing on our hit list is let's cut our 16th note scale in half. We're going to play half as many. Here we go. We're only going to play one beat worth now, right? But we're going to go all the way back to 60. Yes? Always want to give ourselves time, okay? We always want to get fast first with all the different repetitions. We're going to start back here at 60. See that? One beat, yes? Here we go. D scale, don't forget the low A. Got to remind myself, too. And I got to remember to not do stop, bows, right? Remember, on the scale preps here on the 16th notes, no stop, bows. This is all about just going fast and getting a great sound. Here we go. 1, 2, ready, and... to 100 this week with this one. All right, here we go. 70. Ready? 1, 2, ready, and... Feel faster? Yeah, it felt like another threshold, another checkpoint moment there between 60 and 70. I could really feel it. All right, I'm trying to come up with a word for that. I don't know, maybe our community has a better word. We could name it together. That feeling of like, ooh, it's like a significant difference between these two tempos, yeah? Let's go 80. Or maybe you didn't feel anything between 60 and 70. Maybe between 70 and 80, it's like noticeable difference there. Here we go, 80. 1, 2, ready, and... Here we go, 90. And if you experience more of these threshold moments here between these tempos, that's fine too. Maybe that's the case because it's more challenging, right? I have less repetitions, all right? So maybe every one of these feels like a significant difference. Here we go, 90. 1, 2, ready, and... Case in point, all right? I felt the difference more from 80 to 90 than I did from 70 to 80. All right, here we go, 100. All right, last one for this week on this scale prep 2. Yep. 1, 2, ready, and. Yeah, about, and not nearly as much. All right, so the big one was from 60 to 70, yeah, and then the other one for me was from 80 to 90. So you could maybe put it down in the comments. All right, what was your moment there? It was like, oh man, huge difference there. Okay, all right, so we're getting to 100 there on that this week. All right, now last for this week. Okay, much more than week 1. Yes, let's do. All right, the Allegretto Cantabile here. Again, slower tempo. So our full speed on this, okay, is 120. And it's longer notes. So we're going to start here with 80 on the metronome. Drone pitch. Finding my first note. 1, 2, ready. And... And let's go 90. Again, find my first note with the D. 1, 2, ready, and... And we're only just going to go to 100. Remember, our top speed on this is 120, so we don't need to rush it this week. We need to save time to meet some of those other more challenging goals here. Here we go, 100. See if I can find it. Just tapping. 1, 2, ready, and... All right, that is everything. All right, that's why we have checklists. Let's double check. Is that everything for this week? That is everything for this week. Next week, We're going to keep going. We're going to get even faster. We're going to have a new, eighth note theme. Okay, we'll talk about that in the next video. And we're going to keep getting faster on our scale and cutting things in half. All right, with our scale prep. If you need that next video for week 3, you can see it right here. Or if you want to go to the playlist, if you're finding this for the first time, you can also click that down below.